And we're live. And I don't know why I keep pointing like this, but I got to tell you, I do enjoy it. Friends, welcome to another episode of 40 Going on 4, the show that helps you rediscover your inner child at midlife. That inner child that may have left, that may have gone to the court to get emancipated from you. And let's be honest, if that happens, I mean, that means your kid has a better lawyer than you, and that's a problem. So maybe you want to take a look at your life if that's what's going on. So I am so excited to be here today with yet another incredible guest. And this is one of my absolute favorites because you know her, you love her, the great, the one, the only. Before I get to you, Claudia, I'm going to give them a little bio just so they know the awesomeness and all of its breadth and depth and this, that, and the other. Claudia Wyatt, who is the head of connection experience for XXO. And if you are single and ready to mingle, God, how creepy in 1987 is that, right? Well, like if you are XXO, check them out, XXO. That's where you want to be with other conscious singles like yourself. She is one of the featured speakers at the Ovations Talent Agency. She's an incredible speaker. She is a certified coach in cognitive behavioral therapy, in confidence, in life purpose, and if I'm not mistaken, in Pee Wee football as well. Is that right?
I do have an arm.
Does have an arm. And she's from the great state of Iowa, which means obviously she knows a thing or two about not great football, but like decent football, like mediocre kind of football. So anyway, Claudia Wyatt, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, everybody. I am thrilled to be here. Jeff and I are going to dive into it. Be prepared that I will probably be laughing uncontrollably through this entire thing. So get ready for the fire. We're bringing the action today.
Hi. We are bringing the action today. I want to just say a couple of quick hellos to the people in the chat. We have the one, the only, the great Jen Russman, the first ever guest on 40 Going on 4. We have another wonderful energy healer here in Lisa Marie Hughes. Of course, we have the great Ken Dunner, who is savoring the flavor of the awesomeness.
I love awesomeness.
I do love awesomeness too. Claudia, what do you say we just jump right in?
Please do. Let's go.
I've got a big question for you. Why do we lose our confidence at midlife? What happens to us?
This is an awesome question. I think everyone has experienced this at some point in time in their life. And my own personal philosophy is because we're really rediscovering who we are. And in that point, all of the old programming that got us to this point doesn't make sense anymore. And so then we start to doubt ourselves and we start to go, what am I doing? And in that moment, we lose the confidence that we've been so, I would say, like pretending to have in a way, because we've been living a false life. We've been living what we thought we were supposed to. But when you get to that midlife section, everything changes, right? You're in a totally different path than you were on. You might have a different career move. You might have a different family. You may go, this isn't looking the way I thought it was going to. I mean, how many people have you heard say, this is not where I thought I would be at this age?
Ooh, yeah, that's good. You know, it's almost like we're like collectively a bunch of Mets fans where we come in with these big expectations. It's going to be great. This is the year. This is the life. It's going to happen. And then it doesn't. And then we're like holding the bag in the ruins of what this proud empire was supposed to look like. And we're kind of rudderless. So when you're working with people, what's one thing you really notice that really jumps out to you when you see that story go awry and they're just kind of lost in the woods now? What's the first step to come back for them?
Well, the first thing I like to do is let them know you can change it. Like you can rewrite the story. Just because the path that you were on is the one that you thought that you were meant for has not worked out the way you thought it would and it doesn't feel right, doesn't mean you have to stay there. And it's almost like a light bulb goes off like, I never even realized the fact that I didn't have to force this. I didn't have to try to keep going down this path that I didn't belong on. I can totally change it. And when you get that aha moment, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now, let's take the steps to change it. Now that you have consciously said, that's true, I don't have to be here anymore. I have that power. I hold these cards and I can change them whenever I want to. Now we can move forward. But until someone makes that realization, because a lot of people will still say, well, you know, I probably should, or this is what I was supposed to do. Who said that? Who told you that's what you were supposed to do? You don't have to do anything unless you want to do it. If that's the path that you want to go down and you feel like it's meant for you and you just haven't found the right way yet, okay. But if you hate where you are, you don't have to live there.
I'm hearing this in your voice, and what I'm getting, and I just want to give a couple other shouts in the comments. Racy, how are you, my friend? And Sagel is here. What's up, love? I'm telling you, Claudia, I'm hearing this in your voice, and it sounds like someone who has lived that. Sounds like someone who has done what she hated and had that moment. When in your life did you have that, wait a second, I don't like this. This sucks. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, honestly, it was during the 2020, the year of change, right? I was actually forced to stop moving and stop working. That was my best trait. I was very good at keeping busy and pretending I was fine. Everything was fine. No big deal. And in that moment of silence, because I was forced to slow down and like reevaluate my life, I realized I was bored. I was bored in what I was doing. I was unhappy in the relationships that I was in. I wasn't feeling like myself. I was like looking in the mirror going, who are you? Like, what happened to you? Like, where did you go? And in that moment, I realized I don't have to do this anymore. This is not what I want to do. I want more. I want to do more. I want to be more. I want to show up as me, for me, living life on my terms, stopping doing all this people pleasing and running around and all this stuff that I don't need to do because it's not for me, it's for other people. It's time for me to start focusing on myself, getting right with myself, stop repeating these patterns that I keep repeating, and move into the life that I'm supposed to be in.
That's powerful stuff. So it sounds like 2020 was the big catalyst for you. And like so many, you, oh God, I'm a disgusting human for even saying this. You pivoted to your new normal during those unprecedented times.
Yeah, completely. I did.
You did, but you did. You legitimately did. It wasn't a corporate slogan. It was your life.
And said, this is happening. I'm all in. Let's figure this out. And that's when I started doing all the work. And the work is what changed everything.
So let's talk about that. So people lose their confidence at midlife all the time. And you see them a lot of times. They're just these shells of who they used to be, what they used to be. They're walking almost like the Walking Dead, these zombie-like existence. And they have these great stories of past glory for, for a lot of guys. It's when they were in high school football, this and that. And, for a lot of women, it's, they were the debutante, this and that. And then 20 years goes by, 30 years goes by, and they don't recognize themselves anymore. And they hear this and they know they conceptually can come back from it. But, they say the journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. So if somebody is ready to make that, and here comes that word again, pivot. They're ready to make that pivot. What is one small step they can make today to start to turn the ship around?
You need to figure out what you want. You have to get the clarity, because otherwise you're just going to mingle around in a bunch of chaos and then you're not going to do anything, right? That's how it starts. So the one thing that you haven't been doing that you used to love to do for yourself needs to come back. So for me, if that was going for a walk, like just getting physically out of my house, because I had trapped myself in this prison because I didn't have the energy to go anywhere or do anything. So it started for me with a walk. I went out, I took my dog for a walk. And as I was out there, I got the clarity because I just was being present. I was just noticing the beauty of the world, enjoying what I was seeing, and being in nature. And in that moment, I said, I am meant for more than this. So now it's time to figure out what I need to do. It was like the clarity just came rushing in because distraction was silent.
So a little bit of self-love, a little bit of self-care, weave that in. And once we love ourselves, we give ourselves a permission to make a change. Because why would you make a change for somebody you don't like?
Exactly.
Especially yourself.
You have to realize that you're worth it. And you are on this earth for a reason. So you need to know it is your time. It is your turn. Everyone else can wait. You have helped them more than you should have and sacrificed yourself in the process. It is now your turn. So what you would do for them, if somebody had asked you for the moon, you would have given it to them. Why are you not doing that for yourself?
That's a really good quote. Why do you think we lose that? At what point do we stop loving ourselves? At what point do we start looking at ourselves in the mirror and say, yeah, you're not worth it. Hell with you. It's a waste of my time.
A lot of it's our own conditioning, from things that we grew up with. I was one of those people who never thought that your childhood messed you up. Yeah, it does. Like there are
No, come on.
it does. I figured some of those things
Get
out.
out of
And
here.
I was like, okay, some of this programming needs to be rewired. And why you were told to always be kind to people and always be helpful. And those things are great qualities, but you're not supposed to sacrifice yourself in the process. And that's the disconnect that we miss.
Okay, so let's rewind this for a second now. Bring it on back. I'm a child, as are you, of the Blockbuster era. Be kind, please rewind. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Sidetrack. How kind were you? Did you actually rewind? Were you one of those people, or did you just hand it back, watch, and like you're on your own?
I'm kind of a rule follower in some aspects. So if I would remember to do it, then yes, I would always rewind it and give it back. But sometimes I would get distracted in the middle and not finish something and then not realize it. And, the late fees were a real thing. So I was like, oh, crap, it's, 11:59. I need to return this thing because whatever. So I just pull it out and throw it back. So yeah, a little bit of both.
I respect that. And that's why, my friend, you are the dynamo of Davenport. You can feel free to brand that.
Jen, put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, put it on a t-shirt. So as we're rewinding this, we're coming back. There is this moment, and I feel like a lot of people who I've encountered with my life, a lot of your clients certainly, they have this junction point of, I really want to change. And it has to start with this place of, I'm worth it. I'm worth this change. So how do they say, I'm worth it, even if they don't believe it at that moment? How do they start to talk themselves into something that they don't even believe anymore?
Yes, 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 yes. Mirror work and affirmations are my jam. They literally changed my life. You got to face yourself in the mirror and you got to say these things to yourself, whatever they may be for you. One of the things that was mine, I will share, is I am open to being vulnerable, because I was not. I was very against being vulnerable. I was not going to do it. I did not open myself up to anyone. I did not talk to anyone about my business. I was a very good deflector of how's it going with you, as opposed to talking about myself. So that was a very, very big thing for me. And now, of course, I talk about myself all the time. But you look yourself in the mirror. I had these Post-its on my mirrors all over my house. So whenever I would face the mirror and I would see that, I would say it. Well, when you're doing that, you're actually seeing yourself in the mirror and you're rewiring your brain to believe it. So at first it's going to be weird. You're going to be like, what is this? And then you're going to be like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing my homework. It's happening. I'm doing it. And then eventually it starts to become easier and it starts to become enjoyable. And you start to kind of give yourself a little wink and a smile when you're saying it, because you're like, yeah, I got this. So it really does work, but you have to stay with it. I was actually working with someone and I gave them this assignment and I was like, how are the affirmations going? Well, they're not working. And I go, why are they not working? Well, I did it the one time and nothing happened. You can't just do it one time. This isn't a one-time thing. It has to be like forever. Like, get in there. So I was
We're bringing the markers back out, and I'm tossing the marker because I'm not happy about this. I like to do things one time, call it a day. Now you're telling me I've got to stick with it. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anything worth doing is worth doing right. So you have to really go into it. Say them. As you evolve, your affirmations are going to change because you're becoming the person that you want to be. So the old ones aren't going to be needed anymore. They aren't going to be necessary, but new ones will need to come in their place. So we
pivot again.
Mm-hmm. We're doing lots of pivoting here.
Lots of pivoting. We're moving, we're shaking, we're making this happen over here. As Lisa Marie so perfectly said, we're changing our energy and we're releasing those, letting them flow through like the River Jordan, the mighty Mississippi.
Yes, those energy blocks are real. Jen actually helped me a ton with that. She released, I think, on our first session, like 30 negative energy blocks. I mean, it was crazy. And I felt unbelievable. It was just like, wow, you don't really realize how much you store in the vault. And it needs to come out because it needs to be in the vault. You don't need to be protecting the negative energy. That's not what you need. That needs to go away. Protect that positive energy. That's your fire. That's your light. That's what fuels what you're going to do. So release the negative. I am not a fan of negative energy. I am not a fan of negative people. It does not work for me. I am repelled by it. I'm like, oh, I can't. No. So dig into that and let that stuff go because it's not good to hold on to it.
Now, the negative energy is like that creepy guy at the bar, the one who's just kind of hovering around like a shark. It's just bad juju, and you feel the minute that guy walks in the room.
The lurkers.
The lurkers, this isn't good. I don't know what's going on here, but I know it's not good. And you just feel it. You feel that energetically, and you feel that intuitively, and you have to get away from it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because so many of us, we feel like we have to surround ourselves in these situations. And as you evolve, you're going to realize that there's people in your life that don't belong there because they are in this pattern. And when you were in it, you fit, it was like, okay. But as you start to evolve from this, you're like, whoa, how can I be in these conversations? How can I be around these people? You can't. And you're going to have to let that go, because if they're not willing to step into the new as you are, it's not going to fit. It's going to be a huge disconnect. And you're going to find yourself more frustrated and uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable in a good way of trying something new. Uncomfortable as like, I don't belong here, and say, ta-ta.
Yes. Like trying to squeeze into that old pair of jeans. Good luck.
Nope. Those need to be donated. Like, get rid of them. It's fine. Like, you can get new pair. Not a big deal.
And they're fine for somebody else.
They're totally
There's
fine.
Somebody out there in need who could really use them. Mm-hmm. And you're doing a good charity by donating an old friend to somebody in need.
Well, I'm a big believer of people come into your life for reasons. And, they may not need to be your lifelong partner friends, but a moment or a glimpse, because it's showing you something. There was a lot of people that I was around that I needed that wake-up call to not be around them anymore, but I couldn't see it at the time. It was later. Land shark.
I don't even know what the land shark reference means, but since Jen posted it, I'm sure it's great.
I love her.
But we always get 100% whenever Claudia talks. It's always something sage and profound coming from the diamond of Davenport. And I'm just going to keep saying that because I love it. It's great.
I love it too. I like sparkly things.
Yeah, I want to give Claudia a shout out too for being such a wonderful host. When I was out in Davenport about a month and a half ago at this point, taking me to an awesome Italian restaurant, which was a fantastic time. So if you're ever passing through the Quad Cities, you have to see Claudia. This is a must.
I love it. People never come through my area. So yes, let me know you're coming.
Yes.
And we're going to dinner.
Make it happen. Iowa's way more fun than you think. Let's see. We have a question here from LinkedIn user. What are some affirmations that have worked for you, Claudia? It's a great question.
One of the most powerful affirmations that actually is kind of a one size fits all is I am enough. Because so many times we don't think we are, depending if we're in a situation, if we're in a relationship, with ourselves, with a job, whatever, you are enough. So if you believe you are enough, everything will open up. I am worthy. I am enough. I'm a firecracker. It was one of mine. I love that because it just helped me really ignite my energy more. I am loved is another one. That's very powerful because so many of us have been in a position at some point in time in our life where we didn't feel loved, whether that's by our partners or by our friends or by our family. And that one causes a lot of root causes to moving forward. So that will help you believe in the love for yourself and help bring that outward. There's tons more. DM me. We'll talk.
Yeah. That is good because I think a lot of people don't put two and two together when they hear these negative messages come to them from, these, I like to say the word villain, these villains in their lives that come through. And it could be anybody from, a high school bully or a neglectful parent or an abusive spouse, verbally or physically, or both. There seems to be a disconnect between these messages coming in on one hand and how we internalize it on the other. They're connected, but we don't draw the connection. And we get to this point in life and we feel maybe we can't conquer the big moments and we can't step up into ourselves and we're not worthy of love. And we don't realize that's never us talking. It's somebody else who said it that we internalize. So what you're saying is the affirmations are a good way to start peeling off the layers of this onion kind of one by one by one.
Absolutely. Silencing your inner critic is one of my specialties. Like I really focus a lot on that because I had that voice. I had that voice in my head that was telling me, no, don't do that. You can't, that safety, protect you kind of thing. But it was actually shutting me down on multiple levels. And the voice you will eventually identify as someone in your life. Mine was actually my mother. So, we do have a relationship now and it's good because of a lot of work. But in the beginning, I was hearing I wasn't enough from her. And even though she would put me on this pedestal in front of other people all the time, you know, my beautiful daughter, and she's so talented and all of these things and so smart. But then when she was with me in a situation, she would pick it apart, like what I did wrong. And so I ended up getting into the situation several times where if she was with me, I would tank. No matter what it was, no matter how prepared I was, I would immediately tank because the whole time I knew she was in the audience and I knew she was going to tell me what I was doing wrong. So therefore, I might as well just screw it up now, and then I actually have something to be wrong about. So I was self-sabotaging because of that inner voice. So when you get through that, the easiest thing to do is to, number one, tell it, no, absolutely not. That's not true. Two is put those thoughts on trial, meaning you're actually going to go, is this true? Well, what's the evidence that is actually true? Isn't any.
Ooh. Put those thoughts on trial.
If I had a gavel, I would ring it.
And if I had a mic, I would drop it. I do have a mic right now, but if I dropped it, it would screw the audio up for the entire podcast. So I love you, microphone. I would never harm you in such a way. Whatever.
Yeah, don't put that technology stuff in there.
Nah, you don't want to put that juju on the mic right now. I don't need a combative relationship with this thing. It's been a very good friend and going to keep that going. But that is absolutely brilliant. Put those thoughts on trial because we internalize it as if it's true. We don't even think about it. We just take it and run with it.
Yeah, and it will completely shut us down if we believe that. I was like, oh, okay. No, not okay. No, you shut up. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. I'm moving forward. And it just goes away.
Yeah, you're telling me that it's the you that's telling me this is this 12-year-old from like 1993 who told me this. It's not...
Exactly.
Why am I internalizing this as true in any way, shape, or form?
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons is because the person who told you at some point was probably someone you looked up to. And you thought, okay, this person, knows. They're telling me. And this happens with teachers. This happens with parents. Bullies is a totally different thing. That's a different avenue. But when you have someone who you actually respected, someone told me once that I did an energy work with that said, you have someone who, when you were like 14 years old, that told you you couldn't do it and you believed them. Do you know who this person is? She goes, it was someone that you looked up to. And I was like, no idea. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I'm still to this day trying to figure out who that was. But somebody silenced me in that moment. And then it started silencing me in my own life. And I started carrying that. But that part of me that was the firecracker was always trying to come through, and it just kept getting smacked back down. And eventually the fire went out. Yeah. And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I guess this is who I am now.
Human ice buckets, what I call them.
That's a really good analogy.
The minute you start sparking up, they show up with the ice bucket, and they're not doing it for ALS. It's not part of a challenge. They're just being an ass, and they just want to pour you out and douse you and call it a day.
And that's the thing is those ice bucket people, they don't see the potential, the possibility, the imagination in themselves. So they can't fathom how you could see it in yourself. And so what are they going to do? They're going to shut you down because they don't want you to do it. They're not going to do that. That's not a thing. Well, screw them. Yeah. That's their life. That's their choice to do that. But you're not taking me and my flame out of anything. I'm going to ignite it. I'm going to burn it bright. And I'm coming through hard and fast.
Hell yeah. There's so many people I've known who I've told over the years, you should do comedy. You are the funniest person I've met, which obviously was a lie because they couldn't all be the funniest person I met, but they were pretty damn funny. And I said, a lot of them, they wanted to do it. And then I would ask them, why wouldn't you? And a lot of the same things come up. There's stage fright. I don't want to be heckled. So who cares? Who cares if you're heckled? This is a difficult thing in most social circumstances. People don't want to be heckled. They don't want to stand out. They don't want to be mocked. They don't want to, and it's evolutionary, and I get it biologically, but you have to push past that. So this is a really good comment I want to highlight over here. So Lori says, looking for counter evidence. Now, this is something that, so we're changing the inner narrative. We're doing the affirmations. We're looking in the mirror and say, hey, gorgeous, good morning. How are you today? We can say it all we want, but at some point, this rational brain is going to be like a heat-seeking missile, and it's going to be looking for something we can hold on to and say, aha, we are okay because we did that. So how do you recommend when we begin that search for counter evidence to bolster our own inner love narrative? What's the first step toward that?
One of the things I love to do is to create what I call a celebration box. So this actually idea came to me from Simon Parsons when I was with him and his group. All the moments that you've done something great in, from the small ones to the grand gestures, write them down. Write them down and put them in this box. And when you're having those moments where your inner critic is fighting you so hard and you feel like, I don't have the energy to win this war today, go to the box, pull out something in there, and it will show you you've done it. You can do it again. You can succeed. You can move forward. You can try things new because you have celebrated yourself in this moment. Celebrating yourself is huge. Celebrating those wins, celebrating the victories, celebrating the overcome. Because a lot of people think celebration, they think I had to win an award. I need a trophy or a medal. No, like literally, if you have been on the couch in a depression for a long period of time and you got up today, that's a win. That is a huge win because you got up. The day that I got out of the house, that was a win for me because I got out of my own prison. I broke free from it. All the wins. Whether it was, you made something for dinner and it was smoking awesome, fantastic. Whether you learned a new dance move or, you sang out loud in front of people where you got on stage and had a conversation. You did your first podcast because I got somebody else who I made do their first podcast. I didn't make them, but, I encouraged them to do it. And I got shut down for a year. And finally, she went for it. And it was awesome. And I was right there. Like I always say, I'll be right behind you, cheering you on. Because you did it. Now, what was my response? You did it. I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you. You were awesome. Do it again. Do it again. And do it again. And do it again. And do it different. And go bigger. And keep going. Because that's the thing. Once you do it, you've done it. So that takes the fear of, I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't be on stage. I can't speak to people. I can't, whatever. But once you've done it, well, now you got to do it again. Because
now you got to do it again.
You got to keep that momentum going. And then it becomes easier. It becomes more fun. The jitters go away and it just becomes the excitement of it all. Now, how can you take it up a level? Because you have to keep evolving and keep going. And it's so cool to see when that train just takes off and all of a sudden you're just in it. Everything changes. The look on your face changes. Your eyes are a little bit brighter. Your voice is a little bit more powerful. That's the confidence coming through. But you have to keep going. It's repetitive.
That is it. You have to keep going. And this is so important because a lot of times we'll say, hey, I want to change and I want to step into who I'm supposed to be and what I want to do. And we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll do that. But once we get to that, maybe like step 4 or 5, we'll start to lose steam. And this is the critical point. We have to do 5 and we have to do 6 and we have to do 7 and we really have to do 8. Because if it starts to peter out at 4 or 5, you're just going to just kind of crash back down to earth. And, it's like those rockets that take off from Canaveral and those thrusters have to fire to get it up in the atmosphere. Otherwise it will burn up and it will crash back down to earth. That's the key point. It's not. Now, the first key point is that launch from Canaveral, like it has to get off the ground. That goes without saying. But once it gets up into the atmosphere, there's that next gear it has to hit to get up into space. And so many of us, we fall back down to earth because we say, well, we're not in space yet. It's obviously never going to work. It's never going to happen. Screw it. I'm wasting my time. Claudia, how do you find that extra gear when something you started starts to peter out a little bit and the momentum starts to fade? How do you find that next gear to just move it even higher?
Well, the first thing I go is, well, this is a test. This is a test. This is a test to see if I'm going to keep going or if I'm going to shoo it away. And one of the things that stays in my head on a regular basis is the great Jen Rushman, who's in this building right now, said, it's an old story. It's an old story. That programming is still in there telling you you can't do it. And you're like, no, just because something didn't go right, just because there was a misstep, a malfunction, a misfire, doesn't mean it's over. And stop looking at the finish line is the only successful place you can be, because there's a lot of successful steps before you get there. You don't start and end. That's not how it goes. There's a whole lot of stuff in between. And what those things are lessons. They are trying to test you. They are trying to teach you. They are trying to show you who you are. And if you cave in that moment, and that doesn't mean that you can get, you can't get disappointed or you can't be upset about it. Like, live in those emotions for a minute and say, okay, I'm not really feeling great about this right now. That's all right. Just don't stay there. And then come out of it and go, I can do it. I can be better. I can try a different way. This didn't work for a reason. The reason it didn't work was because it wasn't going to get you to the finish line. not because you weren't good enough to handle it.
That's good. That's good because as you're saying that, it's really something that I think is internalized by some, but not many, because we look at, okay, well, if another obstacle hits, obviously something is wrong. Obviously, I'm doing the wrong thing. And this is the message that we create as a way to justify not having to do the thing and not having to go through the hard patch and not having to scale that mountain that just seems so enormous and so unconquerable. But if we reframe to what you're saying, say, no, this is put in my path to make me stronger and better and faster. I absolutely love the analogy of an obstacle course where we put these obstacles kind of in our own path, and sometimes they just show up. And it would be easy to just run around in circles, in circles, in circles, in circles. I do that when I'm on the phone with the IRS, but you just go around and around. But no, that's a bad joke. I've not been on the phone with the IRS.
Amazing.
I'm not even going to speak that into existence. All right, whoever's editing this, edit that part out. But it's this idea of, if we hit that obstacle, what if after we can scale it, our thighs can get stronger, our muscles get more developed, our jumping ability gets more profound. And now we're not only a runner, now we're a high jumper too. So when the next obstacle comes, we're not only going to be able to sprint, we're going to be able to jump. And then if even another one comes, we'll be able to pole vault over the damn thing.
I love it.
And so on and so forth. Can you pole vault? Just an aside. Have you done that before?
I mean, that's not like, a track and field isn't really a skill that I would ever want to possess. So therefore, I mean, I'm sure if I tried it, I could probably figure it out, but not really interested in that.
You got to ask, because you can do everything, Claudia. Like, there's nothing you can't do.
You won't hear me say I can't,
vault?
but you'll hear me say I don't want to, which
Fair.
is the conversation I also had to have with myself later on, was that it's not always that I can't do it. It's that I really don't want to do it. And so now when that word comes into my mouth, I'll be like, oh, that's not why. I just don't want to. And I just flat out tell people, I don't want to do that. I mean, why not be honest and say, I can't do that right now. I don't have the time or whatever, put an excuse on it. I'm just going to flat out say, I don't want to.
Let's dig into this more. So we've talked a lot about the power of yes, but there's a hell of a lot of power in no.
Boundaries. Love it.
How do we establish boundaries if we're yes people and we're people pleasers?
Yep, been there, done that. I had zero boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were. I thought, boundary was a fence. That's all, just property line. That's about it. When I actually realized that I had zero boundaries and that I was letting everyone just topple over me all the time, saying yes to things that I had no business saying yes to. Shiny object syndrome. I am still recovering from this because I do like sparkly things and I get very excited about opportunities and advancements and all these things. So I do have to go, wait a minute. Is this in alignment with me? That's the conversation that has to happen first, as opposed to me going, yes. Now, there have been many times I have said yes to some things that I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it was cool and it turned out and it was fun. So sure. But there were also times where I shouldn't have done it because I really maximized myself out in a bad way, closer to burnout because I said yes to too many things in a row because I thought it was a great idea. And then I was like, I'm exhausted. So taking care of yourself is where boundaries become your best friend.
So I thought dogs were our best friends. Now I'm getting mixed messages. The dog or the boundary? Because it can't be both.
Dogs are your heart. That's a totally different thing. My dog is on the floor right now sleeping, which is great.
All right. Yeah. Don't say that too loud because, I don't want to create any discord in your home. If you're dogging the dog, we don't need that right now.
I mean, if Lola comes in, then that's it. No one could care anything else about what I have to say. They're just going to look at my dog and know how cute she is. And it's a whole thing.
Show's over at that point.
I get distracted very easily.
So we talk a lot about self-care and self-love and getting our grounded center back. But now let's kick up some mojo. What do you say about that? How do people get their mojo back? How do they get their swag, their confidence when they walk into a room like, I own this place? How do you start getting that back?
Oh, that's the best. This is when you get to do all the things, right? So start dabbling in things that you want to experience, trying new things, finding a dance, put on your jam, right? Excuse me. So my favorite thing in the whole world to do is dance. And then everybody has their jam. Everybody has their song, whatever it is that just lights you up. If you're in the car and you're driving and all of a sudden that song comes on, like it's total dance party. Dancing is a great way to get rid of stagnant energy, right? Like get it out of your body. So therefore, put on your jam. That's your walk-on song. That's like, hey, I got this. If you're about to do something and you're a little bit nervous about it, change that into excitement. Put on your jam, start dancing it out, and you are going to be ready in seconds. It is so powerful.
It is. It is. This is something I wrote about in my first book about when you're stepping into your big moment, whatever that big moment is. And it could be a job interview, it could be a date, whatever it is. It could be giving a presentation. How do you get your energy aligned with the energy you want to deliver and connect with the crowd? And music is the key. So what is the song that aligns with the energy you want to deliver? What song captures the emotion you're trying to get across? What song lights your soul on fire like a friggin' inferno or like the Canadian wilderness? Get it together up there, will you? Like seriously, enough is enough. All right.
I mean, we're
gonna have another Canadian firefighting episode on the next show, but for now,
we could wear hats.
Yeah. So Claudia, what's your song? And in the comments, honestly, everybody here, drop your songs. What's your theme song?
I don't know that I have just one song. It's definitely momentous for me, but anything pretty much from the 80s and 90s is going to work. I can tell you that right now. Those are all it. I mean, old school hip hop, bring it on. I am so down. Yes, Jen with her Lola song that she sings to my dog, which was great, which I didn't know was actually a real song. I thought she made it up, which she thinks is hilarious. And I go, I heard that song on the radio. I thought you made it up.
The classic.
I'm not always present. But anything that's got a beat to it, I'm in. Like I spent a lot of time on a dance floor in my time. It's one of my favorite places to be, and the energy is always good when I'm in my own space. So yes, put on your jam, make your own jam playlist. So if you're having those moments where you're just like, ugh, or you're feeling like the doubts are creeping in, you can't do it, get your playlist out and get yourself fired up because it's going to start taking off. And then all of a sudden you will have that shift and you can do anything. So just do it.
Oh, music. It's amazing what power music has in every direction too, because if you're having a day and you're listening to the wrong music, it will drag you further into that day.
Oh, yes.
One thing I used to do back in the day, and this was an incredibly stupid life choice, and I own it now because we'll never do it again. But when I was having a really dark moment, I would listen to the song "Runaway Train" by Soul Asylum.
And that's a dark song.
That's a dark song. It's a dark song. It's a great video, and it's a video of raising awareness about runaway kids. But wow, the energy of that song. Yeah. Wow, that will drag you into the abyss and it will keep you there, and it becomes quicksand. And the more you struggle against it, the deeper in it you get sucked into. So I would say make the music align with the mood you want to be in rather than the mood you're currently in.
That's a very excellent point. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. And there's some songs that I forget who told me this, but they call it their swamp song for like just really like hardcore burning out the energy, like get rid of it. Like, I don't know if it would be like metal or, whatever, but something loud and like throwing chairs kind of energy.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Any kind of metal from the late 80s is great for that. All the hair metal. There's one that I love, which is Def Leppard, Kickstart My Heart.
Yes.
Like, it just gets going. And first of all, don't drive when you're listening to that. You will crash into a pole at 110 miles an hour. So I'm not encouraging that on this program.
That is a real thing when the song is good and you drive too fast and you're like, oh no, yeah. I'm up there again. Stop it.
Yeah. I that happened to me in the California desert listening to the song Curie by Mr. Mister. And that is such a good song. Such a good song. One of the best of 1986. And I'm out there in the desert and I am heading to Vegas and I am flying. And I mean flying at incredibly unsafe speeds. Now I'm 23 and I'm also a schmuck. So I'm thinking about this is not a great idea. I'm just going,
Yeah, because that was when the world of no consequences existed. None. When you become older and you think about consequences, that's the problem.
There were no consequences at 23. I'm just rocking and rolling. I'm just flying. And when that song really kicks, you are taken into a different dimension of consciousness. When you are one with the music, like people who are on very strong substances will often talk about how they can see the music.
That's cool.
And how they can hear colors and these different things manifesting as different things. They are all encompassing. And I felt that with the music. I felt one with the actual beat. So the idea of like three-dimensional consequences didn't even occur to me. I'm one with it now. I'm one with the experience. So cautionary tale, don't become one with the experience if you're operating heavy machinery.
Maybe know your environment before you become one with the experience. How about that?
Yeah, like Christine said, song depends on the moment. So alignment is really important here.
Absolutely.
You know, Motley Crue, always a winner. Motley Crue is incredible.
Yes, I love it. I love that everyone's putting their songs in. It's great.
Yeah, so talk about that. You were in Vegas. This past weekend, you and Sejal were in Vegas. And talk about how the music moved the two of you into your mojo this past weekend.
I mean, you got to have great music when you're in Vegas. It's just part of it. I mean, you can hear it everywhere. So, of course, it was firing us up. But we went to this really cool lounge, and it was very dark and ominous, but they had this DJ in there. I don't know what he was doing, but it was making me great. I was just letting it go and having a good time. And this is very, like, narrow place. Like, it was a lot smaller than I thought it would be. And there's all these people in there. But if you know me, which you're going to find out, if there's music on and there's a dance floor, I'm going to make my own if there's not space on it. So we found a spot, and that was it. I was tearing it up. I was like, this is where I'm going to be at. And we were just in it. I was like, yeah, I get so excited. Like, I can literally feel the vibes from doing it. We had a blast. It was so fun.
Yes.
Oh, AC/DC rocks. Back in Black. I love that song. I cannot
start
help
singing it right now, and nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know all the words, but when that song comes on, I'm like, volume. You know your volume song where it just gets louder and louder? Bring it on.
Yeah, any AC/DC, any kind of hair metal from the 80s is going to bring down any house you're in. I don't care what it is. And everybody has a musical genre that they connect with. And for some, it's hip hop, and then the bass goes all the way up, and you can hear that car 3 miles down the road. And there's something that they feel it internally. The bass goes through their heartbeat, and it goes through their cells.
Oh, yeah.
And they become one with the experience. And there's a lot of music that just does this. And this is really cool because I think in each one of our lives, we can create our own Vegas moment.
Absolutely, you can.
Every day.
Are you kidding? Of course. You can create any moment you want anywhere. You could literally turn, a closet into a magical room that you open up and there's a disco ball and sparkles coming out. Like, do whatever you want to bring it to yourself, because you can totally do that.
We can. And nowadays, this morning I had this incredible moment of, I would say, blissful gratitude when I was thinking about an old song I'm not going to get into the whole controversy over Jason Aldean's latest song, but a friend of mine posted, it was very interesting how it reminds him of the song Toby Keith wrote 20 years ago called Beer for My Horses, and similar kind of song. So I wanted to pull that one up just to remember it. And I realized, oh my God, I live in an era where I can pull up any song I want to listen to and listen to it for free right now.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
On YouTube, on Spotify, I can just do it right now. We did not grow up in that world.
No, we did not. Anyone grew up in the mixtape world? Yeah, where you spent all day long making your jams, and then the CDs thing, that was a little bit easier. I don't know if anyone realizes how this works, but like we spent a lot of hours doing stuff. A friend of mine and I'll give you a flashback story. We were very, very into, it was the Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby thing. And so one Saturday, we literally had a tape and we rewinded that sucker back and forth until we knew all the words. Legit, all the words. And we were like, yeah, this is great. Who would do that now?
Nobody, because first of all, I don't think anybody's listening to Vanilla Ice.
All the words to a song.
I mean, what's his latest song gonna be about? Is like hip replacement? I mean, he's at a point now where, God, it's amazing. Yeah, talk about 40 going on 4. He's got to be pushing 60 now. But good for him. Good for him, still doing his thing wherever he may be. Maybe he's living under a bridge somewhere. I don't know. It's not my place to comment on how Vanilla Ice worked his fame into his modern life. But you know what? I thought he was great back in the day. He was a pioneer in what he did. And talk about a guy who he caught a lot of hell from a lot of people, but he just stood in his power and, hey, I'm me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to be me. And it became an absolute sensation. It was a novelty and it was kind of a gimmick, but it was still a sensation.
Hey, we're not here to say whether it was a great song or not, but it was fun. But that's a really
I don't know the words. Do you know the words? You obviously played them back, so you must know all the words.
I mean, I still have some of them up in there. I don't know how that works when you're on air on what you can and can't say.
Dan Smolin for the win. There it is.
Yes.
Yes.
I do still know most of the words. And when it comes on somewhere, I do tend to do it. But it just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But
It's
that's
catchy.
a really good point. And I'm glad that you made that. No matter what, he did his thing, right? So do you. Because there's always going to be somebody that's going to tell you, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't listen. You shouldn't say whatever. That's a them problem. You do you. Because I got you. I support
Claudia
it.
does
I
that.
raise it up. I got your back. Don't listen to somebody that's going to tell you you shouldn't do something. I mean, obviously, if it's something that could hurt you or someone else, that's a different story. However, if it's you coming into your full potential, you showing up as you for you, I 100% support that.
She's not kidding. Claudia is the greatest friend and advocate you will ever have. And one of the things I love about you, truly, among the 10 million things I love about you, is that you are one of these people, and Sejal, who's here with us too, is one of them too. We were talking about this, who roots for everybody. And a lot of people want to think there's somebody like that, but then you bring up a few people here and then, well, screw them. Yeah, screw them too, and screw them. But you're like, no, literally, I'm rooting for everybody. I want everybody to win. You don't see life as a zero-sum game. You see it as an opportunity where everybody can win.
Yes, everyone can win. It's the best thing ever. I love cheering other people on. It's really important because I think everybody's been in that moment in their life where they were on their own. And it's a lot harder place to be. And you are your best friend and you are cheering yourself on. But man, would it have been really nice for somebody else to be like, right on, keep going. That's why I do what I do. That's why I became a coach, because I never want anyone to go through those moments that doesn't have somebody who's got their back right behind them, cheering them on. So I am here for you. If you need a pep talk, you reach out and say, I need a pep talk. And I'll say, let's go. Come on. You got this. Because
you're going to run through a wall.
I want to make sure that everybody is definitely cared for and cheered for and supported. And that's my job.
Well, you know what's going to happen, Claudia? They're going to reach out to you. You're going to give them the pep talk. They're going to run through a wall like this brick I have behind me, and they're going to injure themselves because you shouldn't run through a wall. Then they're going to sue me, and that's going to happen. So, but short of that, I think your pep talks are incredible because they come from an energy of, hell yeah, you can do it. Mm-hmm. Like, not this, I think you can and you should really try. It's no. Hell yeah, you can. And why would you even think that you couldn't?
Yeah. Never occurred to me that you couldn't. So why is it occurring to you that you couldn't? Get that out of your head. That's noise. We don't need noise.
It's just baked in that, of course, you can do it. Of course, you can do the thing. Of course, you can be who you want to be. Of course, you can. Like it's crazy to even assume otherwise.
Yeah. This is exactly my philosophy on everything. I'm like, why not?
And imagine thinking that about yourself. And the Kool-Aid man, he certainly knows that about himself. He just bursts through and just like, what's up?
It's awesome. Do they even make Kool-Aid anymore?
I certainly hope so. Really hope they do.
Kool-Aid probably full of a lot of things that you're not supposed to have in this day and age.
Well, I say this. Kool-Aid kept a lot of dentists employed gainfully over the years.
Yes, that's definitely
a lot of
true.
Those are not real bricks.
But they're cool, right? Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are. I shouldn't give it away. Yeah, they're totally real bricks. I did all of it myself.
See?
Very handy. You better believe that,
exactly.
Jen.
Especially you and me, Jen. Watch out.
Definitely not done yet. Now, Claudia, you work with a lot of folks on the XXO platform.
I do.
Who they've come out of bad relationships. And they feel that, well, because the bad relationships happen, now there's baggage with me, but with other people I meet too. And so obviously we're going to fall into the same pattern again. And a lot of that confidence and mojo gets lost. So how do you tell somebody who's been in a bad relationship, how do you walk them through getting their relationship confidence and mojo back?
Well, it's back to self, really. And I've been there. So I literally coach this through shared experience. I repeated a pattern for quite some time. And you lose sight of, you trust yourself, right? It's like I keep making these same mistakes. I don't know who to pick. I don't know what to do. And so I'm just not going to do nothing. Well, that's not how it works, right? You can definitely connect with people who support and love you because they've been through it too, through shared experience. But it comes back with you getting right with yourself, understanding what you want, what you don't want, your non-negotiables, the patterns that you've repeated. What are they? Being aware of them. There was a lot of questions I would ask myself in the beginning of my journey, and I would be like, I don't do that. And I would just walk away from it. And then a little bit later, I'd be slapped in the face with, you sure do. And I'd be like, oh, I do that. It's like, you really need to be open with yourself, open to possibilities, open to your mistakes, and go, you know what? These are here for me to learn something. So I haven't learned it, which is why it's becoming a pattern. I keep making the same mistake over and over. I always said I made the same mistake with a man in a different shell. It was a different person, but it was the same, carbon problem. And I just jumped at it. I'm like, I can fix it. I can go there. I can do it. I can do it. I'll be there for you and do everything for you. And then completely lost myself every time. That's the pattern that I had to break. So you have to identify those patterns. Lots of great questions. There are so many cool people, so many great coaches on XXO. And that's what we do. We help you dig into yourself, understand what you're doing, who you are, who you want to be, where you're going. We ask a lot of questions. There's a lot of exercises, putting in the breath work and the meditation. Jen's meditation room is phenomenal, by the way. And it really just helps you connect with yourself in ways you never knew were possible. And in that is where the healing journey begins. So highly recommend checking it out. It's pretty cool.
Now, what is the role of grace in all that, of looking back at falling back in the same patterns, falling back in the same mistakes, and then you're looking in that mirror and you want to do the affirmations, but all you're doing is looking at yourself and saying, you idiot.
Yourself up.
You idiot. How could you do that again?
Gotta let that go, because it's going to happen, right? I'm a huge believer in grace because we are very good at giving it to other people. We are not great at giving it to ourselves. And we earn that. We owe ourselves the same respect that we would give our best friend or our family member. Release it. This is a big exercise that I do on a regular basis. Is anything that keeps coming up, I write it down. I journal it. I write it out, and I write out at the end of it, I release this. It no longer serves me. And then I cross it out. And if it keeps coming up, I keep writing it down until it no longer comes up because I've actually released it. You got to get those thoughts out of your head. That's what they keep swimming around in there. They're just going to make you crazy. And that's when you start obsessing, and then you start doubting, and the fear comes rushing in, and then you start, beating yourself up. I'm not going to tolerate that for you. I'm not going to let you beat yourself up. That is not okay. That is not how you should talk to yourself. That's not how you would talk to someone you cared about. You need to care about yourself and not talk to yourself like that. So start writing those things down and get them out of you. They need to come out so that you can move forward and you can open yourself up for more. Once I let go of the fact that, yeah, I screwed up. I made a lot of mistakes. It's not just someone else's fault that this didn't work out. I was picking the wrong people. I was in the wrong situations. I have to take ownership of that. But that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That doesn't mean, I'm stupid or any of those things that we say to ourselves. I hear people say that all the time, like, I'm so stupid. I go, I don't ever want to hear you say that again. Mm-hmm. Don't say that. You made a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll roast my prior self all the time. Earlier in the show, say, I'm a schmuck, this and that. And I do it playfully, but at the end of the day, you can't talk to yourself like that seriously.
Right.
You can roast them as a joke. You can roast yourself as a joke, like, good job, you idiot. But always know you're doing it playfully, because if you say it with any kind of sincerity behind it, then you're going to live as if you are that idiot.
Yep.
You're going to align your actions with, well, of course I do that because I always do that because I'm an idiot. And every decision you make is going to come through that lens. But imagine if you tell yourself, I'm actually pretty competent. I'm actually pretty intelligent. I actually do make good decisions. You'll start aligning your actions with how you tell yourself you are. The story, because the character will fit the story you write. And it just comes back to, it's all a show. It's all a game. It's all a dream. We're the characters. So what are you writing for yourself in the show?
I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sensei Claudia's Confidence Karate Dojo.
Ooh, I could get a gi. That would be cool.
You know what? I think we're going to have you back on. We're both going to be rocking gis. On this podcast, we show no mercy, and we just do the whole thing. I think it'd be great.
No surrender.
No surrender. I miss Taekwondo. I'm not going to lie. I want to get back into it, but
Do it.
maybe try a different one. I should, right?
Well, now you can do it from literally your living room, right? Like there's videos on everything. You want to learn something and you don't have time to go somewhere, find another way.
That's true. And it did teach me 3 Korean words, which were 3 more than I ever have learned and 3 more than I currently know right now.
All right. You're building your language. I like it.
That's what's up. I think this is a really great suggestion here to have you and Jen Rustman on at the same time of this program, because imagine a confidence coach and an energy healer and a comedian.
Jen and I are magic together, so absolutely, I'm in.
Could you imagine? This would be an overload of crazy. I would love it. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to do this.
I'm in.
This is going to be awesome.
See, Claudia, what would you... I was in. Like, just do it. See how this
just
works?
Do it, right? Do it. We're going to do the affirmation tomorrow morning. We're going to have a show where we're going to have a confidence coach and a comedian and an energy healer, and they're going to walk into a bar along with a priest, a rabbi, and a minister.
I love it.
And it's going to be the greatest joke humanity has ever seen.
Why not? Let's try it. You are amazing. Yes, you are. I love it.
And you know what? We'll make it a happy hour show. And the good news for the 3 of us is that Jen will be the sober one. So
yeah, true. That's good.
You and I can get into a couple glasses.
Behaving myself.
She'll guide us on the path, and she'll make sure we don't go too far off. And this is something else too. How do you have this moment of clarity and lucidity when you're drunk on your own thoughts?
Yeah, that can sometimes be a little bit of a cocktail of confusion, so to speak. I always find there's a moment of clarity somewhere. So maybe in that moment, you may not know all the answers. You don't have to, but write them down. Come back later and reflect on them. Reflect later on the experience. So many times we're in a situation and we're trying to figure it all out right in that time. Just be in the situation. Just be present. Think about it later. Think about all the things later, because there's going to be nuggets. You know, like when you have a great night or a great vacation, or, you know, you get to see one of your friends and you relive it later. You hear all the things, the music, you know, you taste the food, you smell it in the air, whatever it is, you're reliving it. You can do that later and go, okay, what did I learn? What is awesome? You know, whatever you want, but just write it down. Just journal it out.
Let it unfold on that piece of paper in front of you, or whatever you're typing it on. Watch it. And there's great also power. And I really want to say this, because I think in this day and age, there's an expectation that we know everything all the time.
Not at all.
The power of I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a huge believer in that word. I will never tell you something I don't. I'm like, I'm not making stuff up here. Like, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
If I don't know,
I don't know.
And it's okay to not know. And you need to know that for yourself too. You don't have to know everything right now, because one of the coolest words I know, or phrases, is I don't know, but I'm going to find out. There's so much power in the discovery.
Let me ask you a question. I know you have the answer to.
Okay.
What's the meaning of life?
I have no idea. There you go. There's my answer. See? And I didn't waver either by saying that. But I'm on a journey to find out.
I love that. That's great. Rob, I have no doubt about that, my man.
Tell him to get some encyclopedias and look it up, because they don't even know.
That's right. Better believe it. This is it, Jen. The unknown is where all possibility lies. And I don't know is, I think, a much stronger statement than, oh, I know, here's the answer.
Yeah, exactly. It's curiosity.
The meaning of life
True.
Is Claudia's dog.
Yeah, it's for real. That's for real.
That goes without saying. Absolutely.
I mean, I do all these things so that she can have this wonderful lifestyle that she's become accustomed to.
anything for the kids, right?
You know it.
Anything. What is one thought that you would leave everybody here with today as we're coming down to the close of this wonderful program? If there's one thing you want everybody here to take with them when they leave, to help turn the ship around as it's heading toward the iceberg of that middle-aged, confident, shattered morass, but they want to turn the ship around before they have a moment where you start singing near, far, and all that stuff happens. how do they begin to turn the rudder? What's one thing they can do today?
Start celebrating yourself immediately. Find one thing every single day to celebrate. And I don't care if it's that you're breathing in and out, like legit one thing. And then the next day, make it 2. And then the next day, make it 3. And then the next day, every time you do something great, celebrate it. When I'm trying to work something out and I'm having a hard time with it, but I finally get it, do you think I'm celebrating? Absolutely. I'm like, you did it. Yeah, go for it. I told you could do it. Those are the things that come out of my mouth. Like legit, I talk to myself like this all the time. You need to start doing that for yourself. It's amazing. And if you can do it while you're looking in the mirror, that's even better.
It's amazing what comes out of our mouth sometimes, especially after I eat chicken wings when I'm flossing. Like, oh, hello. What comes out can absolutely blow your mind. And once again, Claudia, you have blown my mind. I think everybody here, because you're amazing and everyone loves you, and rightfully so.
Amazing. I love you all.
Claudia, I cannot thank you enough. And everybody here, I would highly recommend, if you're not connected with Claudia, then to do so now. Claudia Wyatt, check her out on LinkedIn, check her out on the gram, and where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on my website under claudiawyatt.com. So check me out. I'm happy to help. If you need a pep talk, come my way. Let's do this. Start cheering yourselves on, everybody. Woo-hoo.
Start cheering. Happy Tuesday, my friends. Thanks for joining us. Come back Friday at noon. We are going to have Tom DiNardo on, who is a mystical mycologist. We're going to learn all about how energy works. We're going to learn all about how your mind can go into multiple dimensions. We're going to learn all about how miracles and magic happen every single day. And he has some stories that are absolutely going to shatter your brain into 1,000 pieces. So Friday at noon Eastern, we'll see you there. Claudia, thank you again, my friend.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Enjoy, my friends. Be well.